I just think, I think back to the tennis event, and some of the big names saying that so far as tennis is concerned, which is similar to golf, each player has to make their own valuation about where the Olympics ranks because they've got their Grand Slams or their majors in golf, which are the traditional big events that golfers and tennis players want to win. So I think a lot of the time it depends on the country that the person is from. Certain countries value the Olympics more than others. The US, China, those countries that traditionally are high up on the medals table attach a lot of prestige to the Olympic Games. And being an Olympian in that country counts for something. So if you are from maybe one of the smaller European nations, it may make less sense for you if I'm Irish to go to the Olympics. I can rather focus on the majors and make sure that I have, a good British Open or whatever, than, go to the Olympics. But if I'm from the US and I get selected in the Olympic team, being an Olympian counts for a lot in the US. It counts for a lot. I mean, it opens also commercial doors for athletes when you say, I was in the US Olympic team. So those sports, I think, will have a place, but the meat and potatoes of the Olympics will always be swimming and athletics and gymnastics. Those are the most watched events, and they are the historic events which have been there since the beginning. And they are those events that the athletes themselves place as the very pinnacle of their own sport to win an Olympic medal above winning, a world championship medal in swimming or in athletics or in gymnastics. So I guess that's just the way it is, and it will depend on individual nations. But for the smaller codes that you mentioned, like, we see skateboarding, climbing, surfing, they come and go, rugby sevens. For these ones, it will depend on how they embrace that opportunity and if they've got anything, because the challenge with the Olympics in the modern age is the financial reward, right? You win a medal, you don't get paid. Whereas if you focus on your own sport, you may well get paid much, much more in some codes. But with these new codes, like like skateboarding, like surfing, like climbing, which have got their own tours, this has raised the profile of those sports because a lot of people who've never watched surfing, who've never watched skateboarding, will now be watching the Olympics and say, oh, okay, this is not bad. But the same is not true for golf or tennis, who have their own big audiences. So I think for those smaller ones, there is a place and they will use the Olympics to grow. But for some of the other sporting codes, well, it's up to the big name athletes themselves to make a decision about how important it is.